It's 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the pledge to the flag. And Tom, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call of the board, please.
Trustee Clark? Present. Trustee Drapka?
President Comerford.
Trustee Lufer?
Here.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Present.
Supervisor Wilt?
Here.
Let the record note, Clerk Blau's in attendance.
Thank you. We have before us the minutes of the July 11th regular board meeting of the trustees. If you have any additions or corrections, or I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for the July 11th, 2017 board meeting.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, any additions or corrections? I would just say under the supervisor's report, the food pantry bags were not used as handouts, but for handouts at the parade. We didn't actually hand those out. That's under the second bullet point on page 2, under the supervisor's report. So just so that people don't think we were just handing them out willy-nilly and they didn't get one.
4 handouts? Really?
Yes, they were used for the handouts.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
sure.
So we're gonna say as amended?
That's fine. Okay, any other additions or corrections? Then hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as corrected, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Motion is carried. The minutes of the closed session of that same evening are before you. We have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If so, we would need to go into closed session if there's going to be anything revealed in that. Hearing nothing, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Are there any communications?
None.
Okay. Are there any visitors' remarks at this point in the schedule?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Mrs. Woods, and I'm here as Township Assessor. Just wanted to announce that we have kicked off our 2017 appeal session with the Cook County Board of Review. And in honor of this, we are hosting 2 outreach seminars. The first one is here in Riverside Town Hall on Wednesday, August 16th on the 2nd floor. It starts at 6:30. And then the next session is in North Riverside at the Village Commons. It is on Thursday, August 17th, also at 6:30. Commissioner Dan Patlick will be there, as will I, and he brings analysts, so we're hoping to make sure everyone who's interested will be able to file an appeal and have all their questions answered. And this will be the final time that we can appeal the 2017 assessed values. So we're expecting a very busy next couple of weeks. I think everyone came home from vacation because everyone called me today. Everyone was so busy today. We sent out like 300 emails, and I think everyone called us back today. So we're anticipating to be very busy. The deadline for appeals is August 30th. Any questions?
Thank you very
The one in here is on Wednesday?
Yes.
The 16th?
Okay. I know the original flyer had some mistakes on it. And then the one at North Riverside is on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, supervisor's report. Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like to speak now? Yes, I'm sorry.
My name is Stephen Gretchik. I'm here representing the local Kiwashina Indian Guides tribe. Just making sure that if there's any questions or anything that you have that you need answers to, that I'm here to make sure that I can address those.
Is there anyone here to address matters of grants? Yes. Anyone else? Okay, last month we discussed that perhaps when we have people wanting to speak to a matter, last month, that we should perhaps amend the agenda. Is there any objection to us dealing with grants right now?
No.
Very good. Then why don't we flip to the section under new business with grants? And if you'll have a seat, and then we can call upon you if you have any, if we have any questions for you. So the first grant on our list is the Bulldog Wrestling Club, the sponsorship grant. And that was the first one in your packet. If you've had a chance to take a look at that, are there any questions for the organization?
Before we go forward, I would like to recuse myself because I am associated with this group,
Okay.
so I will not.
That actually applies to all three grants tonight, doesn't it?
Two.
Or two? Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you for saying that.
So, we haven't given to you before, is that correct?
Well, are you with the
Who's with the group? Okay.
My name is Michael Hall. I'm the Vice President of the Bulldog Wrestling Club. I'm here representing in support of the application for the grant. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have about our program, what we intend to do with the funds.
I would just say that the application is a little sparse. Maybe you could expand a little bit about the group.
Absolutely. No, by all means. Yeah, it's we are a not-for-profit youth sports organization. We serve kids from Riverside, North Riverside, and Brookfield, and other areas to the extent they want to come join. We have the coaches are all volunteer. There are several members of the board. We have a full organization in minutes and a relatively stable structure. We provide, all the coaches are former wrestlers, either high school or collegiate level. We really love the sport, and we encourage boys and girls to join. It's about a 3-month program starting in mid-November. We run all the way through February. 2 times a week, we have kids coming to the gym, and for an hour and a half, teaching the fundamentals of wrestling. Wrestling is a great sport. It develops both the physical side of the fundamentals for every other sport, balance, agility, strength, but also the emotional, mental side of it, discipline, concentration, strategic thinking. So we really try to do not just the physical side of it and teach the kids wrestling, but also the athlete development program, where we really try to individualize each kid's goals and try to work with them over the course of the 3 months to see how far they progress. It's just a great program. We have a lot of fun. And the funds that we're using, the intent of the funds that we're seeking tonight, this has been largely self-funded. We do have an application fee. It's like any other youth sports organization, but that barely covers tournament fees, room rental, insurance, things like that. So we've really found the difficulty in the last couple of years has been communication. So, large email lists are difficult we have up to 60 kids and parents that we try to associate with. So we really are focused this year on making communication a lot easier. And to that end, we want to develop a website. And we're working with a local Riverside business to develop a website. It's going to have all the bells and whistles in it, and we can have communication and schedules and applications and orders and all kinds of things. And that would be what the money is going for. We'd have a big Riverside Township ad on there. So whatever sponsorship we'd prefer, we can certainly indicate that. The other grant that we're looking for is for a couple different things. Coach certification. We are certified by USA Wrestling, all of the coaches, and it goes through different levels: copper, bronze, silver, gold certification. And there's a cost associated with that, and we'd like to have some of the funds to defray some of those costs, as well as several of the participants, the kids, we're going to try this year to provide a scholarship for some of the kids who are not able to afford the entry fee for the season. So we'll try to defray some of their costs as well. And then finally for the uniforms, we do there are 2 levels of club that we have. We have sort of the club kids, which are usually younger kids, just fun recreational wrestling for a couple times a week. And we've also developed the last couple of years a more team-oriented, and some of the older kids, we do tournaments, we compete with other local wrestling clubs. There are larger tournaments even further afield, 30, 40 miles away. And so for that, we've done the full wrestling gear, singlets and shoes and headgear and all the things. We do get every kid a t-shirt. And so the part of the grant we'd be doing here for whether you're on the club team or the club or the team is to have a t-shirt. And we have a Riverside Township logo on the back, and it'll be Bulldog Wrestling on the front, and they can wear it at practice and afterwards. So that's the kind of the spirit of what we're doing. Again, any questions you have, I'm more than happy to.
What age are the kids?
Oh, sorry, kids anywhere from 1st grade through 8th grade. So, and we do have some kids in junior high. The idea of this is to make it, and we work closely with Riverside Brookfield High School wrestling team and the club there, and so the idea is really to make this a feeder program for the high school. So we get kids who are interested in it and like it, and we don't push anybody if they're not interested, but really to try to develop and foster the love of the sport so that by the time they get to high school, they're well prepared for that.
Is there a fee for the kids to belong to?
There is, and we're debating and we're playing around with the economics here, but really is just to cover costs, and it's about, I think we're talking about $175 for the season, which is compared for 3 months, it actually breaks down to a pretty good deal per hour, considering it's 3 hours a week for about 12 weeks. So it's a pretty good, it's a pretty affordable deal for the kids, but that just covers, like I said, room rental and tournament fees and things like that.
And when is the, when is the season? When does that run?
We go mid-November through the middle to end of February. So it's all through the winter months.
Okay. Sorry.
And where do you meet for you have to pay a room rental?
At the Riverside, at the high school. The wrestling room of the high school is a separate gym in the basement of the high school where the high school wrestling team practices after school, and then we rent that space for the couple of hours after that in the evening, and practices are anywhere from 6 to 8-ish.
Do you get any support from Riverside Brookfield High School?
Support in the sense of wrestlers helping out, not in the financial sense. So we're not technically affiliated with Riverside Brookfield. We're a feeder program. We use the logo and we're the Bulldogs, but we don't have a direct affiliation with the high school.
And these scholarships, okay, are all the kids from Riverside Township? Do you have some people from Berwyn? Do you have some people from Cicero that join into your organization?
Good question. I think that the majority of the kids last year, we had, this is about the beginning of the third year of this program. 2 years ago, we had about, at the end of the season, some kids drop out, but we had about 30. Last year, we had retained about 50 kids by the end of the program, so it's growing like crazy. Most of which were Riverside, North Riverside, a few from Brookfield and Berwyn, I think. So it's mostly in the core, but there are other areas that participate.
And the coaches' training and certification, how many coaches do you have to train this year?
That's a good question. We have 5 coaches who are continuing from last year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are a couple others who are, we're really, we have a lot of interest in dads who want to come out on the mat, and we are being very careful about, you need to be certified, and it's an online course. It's a former wrestlers obviously preferred, but we need to have people certified by this program. If you just want to come out and help, that's great, but we're kind of restricting exactly how much access you have to kids and how much how involved you can be. But there are 5 coaches who were certified last year, and I think we're looking for that, maybe 1 more, so potentially 6 coaches.
Okay.
So that's $20 each to have.
It's a little more than that, but it's just to help defray the cost. It's about $40 to $50 for the online certification per coach.
Would the scholarship go to kids from Riverside Township?
Yes.
How would you make sure that the kids from Riverside Township get the money allotted if we were to do use for the sponsorship or the
For the scholarship, that's a good question. We would have to be, obviously there are a lot of issues with need-based grants and things, because or scholarships, because it's treading on some ice that we may not want to tread onto. But we will certainly, we haven't yet formalized the procedure for doing the grant for the scholarships. It may be a lottery-based system. It may be, people who express interest in it. We haven't quite figured out the exact logistics of that scholarship at this point.
I have just one more question, and then I'll offer an opinion. It seems like this is, you're in the beginning stages of this group, am I right? I mean, you've been together for a couple, 3 years?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I've got an opinion. I really don't have a problem with sponsoring the team. We sponsor youth organizations all the time, from Little League on. I think it's kind of vague on the scholarships. That's just my opinion. So I'd entertain something for team sponsorship. I think that'd be great for the kids, and it'll help them out a little bit. As far as coaches training, again, I don't have that much information on that. The scholarships and the coaches training seem to be the problem that I see at this time. That's just me, though.
I kind of agree with Tim. I'd be willing to do the team sponsor.
As your organization grows, and I know it will because it seems to be building, don't hesitate to come back, but make sure that you've got that scholarship policy.
Certainly.
So we can look at it. That's just the way I feel. This is taxpayer funds, and I want to make sure that it goes to a great organization, and I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what was said. You took most of my questions.
Sorry.
But as long as the scholarships, I would be all in favor of the scholarships if we were to make sure that the money allotted for the scholarships would be going to Riverside Township kids. That's great that, you have kids from all over, but if we're gonna have a scholarship and we're putting money into that scholarship, that money would, I would like to make sure that money would go to just a Riverside Township student. On a side note, I know that you said that you were in financial straits, and I know that it says nothing about the grant application, but I really believe that that's why we need to have a budget for the clubs or organizations that we need to see a budget. We need to know more about the organizations and any more information that they can provide. Because if you had elaborated a little bit more on this scholarship and what you intend to do to make sure that the township kids would get this scholarship, then I would be all in favor.
Here's my suggestion.
Yeah.
Is that we approve $350 tonight for the team sponsorship, and then since the program doesn't start until November, we review grants again in November, that if they want to come back and ask for scholarship money with a policy, so we know it's a Riverside Township kid that's getting it, then we could revisit the scholarships in November.
I would agree with you. However, he's got one. The next grant coming up is that we haven't talked about yet is a website. So there's 2 separate different grants for one fiscal year. And as our rules state currently, you can only have 2 grants in one fiscal year. So this would be the $350, and then if we approve the website, that would be your 2 grants. You know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
I would entertain a motion for some grant and what you want to do, so.
If it would, I'm happy to make a suggestion. If you're willing to table the first application in its entirety, including the $350 for the sponsorship until November, we're happy to resubmit so you're not going over the 2, if we want to consider the website as one, this grant application, and at which point in 2 months I can come back with additional information that you can then at that point reconsider the entire first grant. We're happy to do that too, just so we're not.
We could do that. Is the name, you said it's a nonprofit?
Yes.
So is the name of the nonprofit Bulldog Wrestling Club?
Correct.
Okay, so we could look that up then.
Well, if he's okay with that, then I move to table this grant, this first grant application.
I have a motion to table the first grant application,
Second,
and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This will be tabled. Second grant application then? Same organization, but...
Supervisor, I think did you abstain on that one? Yeah.
Oh,
just to make- yeah.
yes, that'll, motion is carried
For
with
the
one
record,
abstention.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Mike, what did you just say?
To note that trustee Lupfer
I
abstained.
already have
Right,
it written down.
right.
I apologize. I thought
No
that's
problem.
what you said.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
you know, $2,500 seems like a lot of money for me for a website. Do you have, any more information about this or any comparative prices?
I have, if you give me a minute, I believe I have the proposal from this business, Riverside business via Digerati. This provides, and happy to submit this for you. It's their proposal. It's a complete web package. It's $22,000 for the website initiation and $500 for ongoing maintenance and servicing of the website. But it's going to have, in addition to, you know, can lay out our own design, it's going to have areas for product purchases, and ordering of gear, scheduling information. You can, in theory, we will be able to have the kids register for tournaments. A lot of the difficulty in the last couple of years has been which kids are going to be there on which day. And we have to pay in advance a tournament fee for each kid who's going to be there, and say, oh, kids are sometimes, oh, sure, I'll be there, and then the parents say, no, you're gone that weekend, Johnny, and it's hard to know. So we've come out money. So this will be very easy for the parents to log on. You can track your kids' progress. We're going to have, in addition to scheduling and ordering and all the communications we want to send out, safety information, we're also going to have a section where the children can track their own progress. So we'll set up some goals for them, and they can log on with their parents, and they can track as they go along, and content as it goes along. So it's a pretty robust system that we're looking at, and I don't know that we have any competitive bids. I believe that's just the one, but we figured it's a local Riverside business. This is the best pricing they can give for us.
Is this the name of her business?
Yes, via Digerati.
Is the 2,500 is the total cost of this website?
Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Just for future reference, if you have background material like this, I would suggest that you submit it with that,
Certainly.
especially since you'll be reapplying for the other one.
Of course.
Yeah, it says the 2,000 for the initial setup and then 500 for something else. Yeah, maintenance for, first year.
Well, you've got 2,000 for the platform setup and integrations, then you've got $312 for annual e-commerce platform fee.
That's included in the setup fee, that 2,000.
Okay, and annual updates, okay.
So what's the other 500 going for?
Its annual updates includes minor updates to website content as needed for the duration of a year.
So 2,000.
2,000 to set it up,
to
platform
set it up,
setup. and
500. So would that 500 be for the year 2018, or would it start?
That's going to be a 1 year, so from the time it starts. So it'll be
Oh, yeah,
basically
right.
our season through the end to the beginning of next wrestling season. Correct.
I don't know, I'm just not sure about this.
Well, I mean, given that, because that was probably my concern, because I didn't have any documentation, you asked the question that what I asked, but now that we see the receipt and there's the invoice per se, right? I mean, that is an invoice.
It is invoice.
The proposal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would be in favor of doing that.
And this would help with your registration and
Absolutely,
promotion and all of
absolutely.
those
We've
things.
had, the first day of wrestling practice is always, we do advertising as well. We will be bannering and postering the entire neighborhood as well as word of mouth and ads and sports and entertainment programs, things like that. But the first day of practice is always chaotic, people trying to bring in checkbooks and things. So this will be a much more streamlined process for us. It's gonna help everybody out to say, I'm registered, I'm here, I show up, it's seamless. Thank you.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I will make a motion that we award the grant to Bulldog Wrestling Club for the website. As long as we get a copy of that invoice, and I would like to put a stipulation in there that we make the check out to the Bulldog Wrestling Club, and then they send us a receipt back that shows that they paid that exact amount that we're awarding the grant to via DiGiannetti. I think we should, just a side note, because I think we should get out of the practice of going directly to companies. I think we should be awarding the grant to an organization and have them prove to us that.
We usually do grant the grants to an organization unless it is a taxing body that it would be inappropriate for us to give the money directly to. So that, with that stipulation,
Okay.
so I have a motion
It just says here
to grant
that,
I
yeah,
understand
yeah.
that, yeah. I have a motion to grant the $2,500 for the website development and maintenance, and to make the check payable to Bulldog Wrestling Club. Do I hear a second? And it fails for lack of a second. Is there any other motion desired? Okay, I hear nothing, so that fails for lack of appropriate motion and second. So I would recommend that you apply again. We will be doing some revisions to our application process and some other notations. I would highly recommend that any background material be included with future applications for grants, and we hope to hear from you again.
Certainly.
All right.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. The next grant application is for the Prairie Trail Federation.
And again, I am affiliated with this group.
Okay.
These are the only ones I'm affiliated with.
Okay.
Not going to cover everything.
All right. So, trustees, are there any questions regarding this application?
How many people are from Riverside Township?
So we have three organizations, the Prairie Trail Federation. There's the Girl Indian Guide Tribe, Indian Princess Tribe. That's Kachina. The majority of those are from the township. There's about 80 to 90 members total that are part of that organization. But there are people outside of the township, so people that have been brought in from LaGrange and other towns, people that have lived here and moved, and they wanted their children to be together. We also have the Indian Guides organization. The Indian Guides organization is the Kiwashina tribe. The Kiwashina tribe is, at this point in time, solely people within the district. There's no one outside of the district. There's about 45 people that are currently registered. We're in the process right now of doing our fundraising. One of the things that we wanted to do was wanted to make sure that we could say that there would be some scholarship money that might be available to people that would like to join the organization but don't have the ability financially to be able to attend. It works out that it's roughly about $850 to $900 per family per year to be involved.
How much per family per year?
It changes every year by a little bit, but it's roughly about $850 to $900 per year. There are 3 campouts that we do. Those are done at YMCA facilities. Each one of those works out to be, give or take, about 175 to 215, depending on how many days the parent and child would be there. And then there's usually an initial fee that's used for things like rental of the scout cabin, some other things that we do as an organization. There's also the Trailblazers. The Trailblazers is once the children start when they're in kindergarten. They run from kindergarten through to 5th grade in either the Kachina or Kiwashina tribes. And then after that, to the extent that they still want to be involved, then they can also be involved in the Trailblazers organization. All three of these fall under the Prairie Trail, and we didn't feel that it would be fair to try and separate the three, because we didn't know what we would have in terms of individuals who would be needing some financial aid. So that's why we tried to apply as a unified organization.
So once again, how many people are from Riverside Township? 80 to 90 in
So 80% of the 80 to 90 that would be for for Kachina with Riverside Township, all 40 for Kiwashina, our Riverside Township. And I do not have the exact numbers for the Trailblazers in terms of the exact people that are from Riverside Township, but again, there's a good percentage of them that come from the Riverside Township area.
And how much is it to rent the scout cabin?
I think we pay $50 per rental. Kiwashina usually will attend 6 to 8 scout cabin meetings. Kachina rents it every other week. So they rent it from starting in September through until the end of the school year. So the organization runs, basically we break over the summer for summer holidays, and the organization runs throughout the rest of the school year.
Yeah, I'm gonna get in here before you take all my questions again, Trustee Heilenbach.
All right. Trustee Drapka then.
Yeah, so going off what Trustee Clark said about the rental of the scout cabins, and not to compare this to another grant that came up, but I know that you listed just rental of the scout cabins and scholarships and other local events. I would like to see a breakdown of specifics, as you know, 10 rentals of the scout cabin, right?
Sure.
At $50 a pop, right? That's what we're gonna use that money for. We're gonna award, $500 worth of grants, and you know what I mean? Just kind of a breakdown so that we could see that we're not just giving you a blank check and, this is exactly going for the thing. Do you have that kind of a breakdown like that? Or
I do not have one prepared. I'd be
is
happy
it
to.
possible that you can get something like that?
Yeah, I could easily put one together. Had I known that it was,
Yeah, I mean, if you give us, I'd feel more comfortable if you gave us a breakdown of, we're requesting X amount of dollars because this is what it's gonna be used for. 10 meetings at the scout cabin, or 25 meetings at the scout cabin, or whatever,
Sure.
you know what I mean? And go that way, that's,
Or at least your plan, your business plan, basically
Yeah.
what are your expenses totally, and so then we
Yeah.
can put it in perspective also.
Really be specific on how many people are from Riverside Township, and if these scholarships would go to kids from Riverside.
that's the other question that I had, the same.
Yeah,
the
our
same
attention.
thing.
Criteria
Yeah.
for awarding that.
Any other questions?
I took your question.
No, I pretty much cut and dried on that. I mean, we need a lot more information.
So would you, I mean, I guess, would you be interested in putting together this information and then, returning in November with all of it, like more detailed?
Sure, I can. The concern was that we're just in the process right now of putting out the literature to let people know that they could apply. In the past, we had some issues with families that could not afford. And so the hope was that we could meet, get an understanding of if there was any funds available, and to the extent that there was, we could let families know that funds were available. In November, it'll be too late to do that. But I do understand. My only feedback or recommendation would be, to the extent that you would like, I guess, a more detailed grant application, it would be helpful as a member of the township to have an understanding of that. So looking at the literature and understanding, kind of what I should fill out, I thought that giving a background of the organization, and then being that this was the first time that we were actually looking for a grant, I thought that having a little bit of flexibility, I mean, I don't want to say that there'll be $500 that's going to be used for Kachina, $500 is going to be used for Kiwashina, and then have it be the case that we have 2 people from within the township that actually need it from Kiwashina, but no one for Kachina. Because again, we're one larger organization, but we are separated into individual groups.
What's your season?
The season starts now, so
School
we
year.
basically start this over the fiscal school year.
The fiscal school year, okay. And do you have a website?
We had a website. It was the case that become, we didn't find that it was as useful as we'd hoped it would, so it turned out that it's no longer functioning. That was prior to my affiliation.
Is this your full-time job doing
No,
that?
no,
Okay.
it's a nonprofit, it's a volunteer. It's been the greatest experience that I've had with my 2 children, and I hope that everyone can experience it.
In view of these first 3 applications, all being first-time applicants and perhaps a little bit of absence of our greater direction, would the board be up for having a committee of the whole to consider these kinds of things if we got more information, say within the next month or so?
Well, we could, do it in our October meeting.
Or
I mean, normally we don't do grants,
Or
but.
September, rather.
Oh, wait, September,
This is
I'm
only-
sorry, we're August.
This is only August,
Yeah, I'm
right.
sorry. I just lost a month of my life. I would be willing, to review these again at our September meeting, as old business, because, we've done that in the past. If we
Right.
needed more information.
And since we've had all this discussion about it, I was just wondering if there would be any objection to
I have no problem with either one, or committee of the whole, or both. Committee of the whole meeting to discuss it.
or put it on the September
Or put it
agenda.
on September and provide us with some more information. It's not that we don't want to give you any money.
Right.
It's just that, we've got a couple of issues, and one being that it's LaGrange, which isn't in our township. That throws a flag up. I know that's where your headquarters is based. It's like Boy Scouts of America is based somewhere. But, again, just, give us a little more information.
Sure.
You've got what we want from you. Just if you could come back, I know it's, hard sometimes, but we'll put you to the front of the line, as they say, in September.
All right, be happy to.
Okay?
Thank you for the opportunity.
So I'll put grants
Well-
back on but it'll only be for grants that were considered and asked for more
Yeah,
information.
so it's just the
next
3 that
month,
were
I'm not gonna open up the floodgates for all kinds of new
Yes.
grants.
You want to need a motion?
Do I,
on
yeah,
it?
can I have a motion for that?
I'll,
Or I can simply put it on the agenda. if
yeah, I
everybody's
make a
not-
motion that we table this one, for,
Let's a minute for the first 3 grants, 2 from the
Okay.
Bulldog Wrestling Club and this grant, and any other grants we're looking at.
I second Mary Rob's motion.
Okay, so we
Wait,
have a
so
motion.
it's
Mary
trustee
Rose.
Clark's now, your motion?
Right. She suddenly reformed the motion, so it's hers.
It's worse.
So the motion by trustee Clark, seconded by trustee Drapka, is that we table all 3 of the first 3 grants for consideration at the September meeting, pending more information from all of the applicants. Is there any discussion to that motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is carried.
And then, Leanne, make a note that
Yes.
trustee
That is-
abstained, yeah.
Thank you. On to grant number 4. Do we have anybody here from Riverside Preschool at St. Peter and Paul Church?
Well, it looks like, this, group applied before. And it looks like they applied twice before for the same thing, so.
Where are you getting that? I didn't.
It was after this actual grant application, then we've got minutes from previous meetings,
Yeah,
and actually the same grant.
November 2016 and
February of
February
17.
2017, so would
And
somebody
November-
care to shed some light on something that I'm missing? I just,
Okay, I just had some light on this. This preschool, started in the fall of 2016, and it's because of, there's a preschool at the Presbyterian Church, and there was some type of falling out between this director of this preschool church and this preschool, Lisa, used to be at the Presbyterian Church. There was some type of falling out, and she moved over to the St. Peter and Paul Church. And I don't know how they got, if they're using the church as a 501c3, because, or, you know, if they're preschools actually. I would like to see
More information.
more information on that status, their letter. But I have to say that I believe that the people that attend this school, you know, pay for their kids to attend there. And I cannot agree with this grant.
But what was the issue in the past? I'm not following what, so there
The
was some.
same thing, you know, they're a new organization, they just started up, and they probably need some funds, or wanted some funds.
Okay, so is there a particular issue besides the 501c3, or, I mean,
Well, I think the kids pay to go there, you know?
whereas the one at the other one doesn't? Or-
No, they pay to go there too, it's just that the Presbyterian Church never, the preschool there never asked for grants.
Well,
And I
they
feel
could if they
that
wanted
this,
to.
they could if they wanted to. And, I just feel that this is, you know, I just would like to see their status. If they're doing the 501c, if they have their own 501c3 status, or if they're using the church.
More information.
More information, yeah. Because it seems to me that this is a for-profit organization.
Okay.
And that's my main objection.
I just, you know, going through, you know, all those minutes, it's the same thing written down,
Right,
almost
exactly.
verbatim.
Yeah.
And that, you know, not changing it up, and then you don't have anybody here to explain, which makes it even more difficult for us.
Yeah.
Did you ever have anyone here at prior meetings to
No.
speak to it?
Well, can we reach out to them and ask them for 501c3 papers or documentation that proves that they're a 501c3 organization? And then we can bring it up in September again.
I think that we could do that if, I mean, I don't really have a problem doing it with any group, but especially if it's a new group and we're not familiar with the people or the organization. I mean, stuff like people care, you know, beds, which we've granted many times before. But if it's a new organization, I think we definitely need to see the 501.
Sure, I would agree with you, and I think that, you know, maybe we should keep this stuff on file too, you know, I mean, if, you know, if you just said people care, you know, if we have your 501c3 information on file, then you don't have to resubmit it every time, because we already have it, you know?
But although you have to renew that 501c3.
True. Yes, all
So,
right.
and you know, actually, we should include that in the, you know, a copy of their 501c3.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, I'll make a motion to table this until September, and as long as, you know, maybe the supervisor could reach out to them and find out if they have 501c3 information that they can provide to us.
And have someone come to the meeting to explain it to us.
That would be good too, yeah.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to table grant number 4 to the September, and to revisit it at the September meeting, while telling the organization we need more information, such as details of their 501c3, and they need to have a representative present at our next meeting.
It would be helpful to have a representative here.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried. Very good. Then why don't we go back to the agenda as we started. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to update, the Springfield trip is this Saturday. If you plan to go and haven't signed up yet, please let us know. We currently have 35 people going. We did open it up to outside the township late last week, Didn't want people cliffhanging, and actually, we did have a few that had something come up in the meantime while they were waiting to hear from us. But we have 35 currently going. And like I said, if any of you plan to attend and haven't let the office know, please do. We are planning to have coffee and ice water and things like that on the bus. And looking forward to a good trip. Let's see. The carpeting on the second and, well, throughout the building, carpeting and floors will be cleaned, but we're waiting until the end of August when we know that the day camp is done. That can present a few issues, so we're gonna wait until then. The payroll fees, I had hoped to have a resolution on, for this meeting, but it has not been completed yet. I'm waiting for word from the law firm. So although there shouldn't be a problem, I've spoken to the attorney and he sees no problem in drafting a resolution because it was a little vague and because the board did deal with a contract and they kind of excluded something. He thought that a resolution would probably be a better idea to have. So we will have that on the next agenda.
That's for paychecks?
That's for paychecks, right. You do have information in your packet, though, about the history of how the indirect payment came to be. So anyway, since we are changing a practice, we will do a resolution next month. On direct deposit, your checks should be direct deposited tomorrow if you signed up for that. If you have any trouble with that, let us know, because the first run we did not work and we had to cut paper checks at the last minute and it was on Paychex end. We did everything we were supposed to do. They were supposed to pull some switches on the other end, and they failed to do that. But we have had, I think we had a payroll since then that did work on direct deposit. We just have multiple payrolls. So yours should be direct deposit by tomorrow. And we did check that everything's a go for tomorrow's payroll. And just for your information, that certificate of deposit that we had some trouble with at Westtown Savings in terms of them not allowing us to change the person who is allowed to transact business on the account is maturing on the 19th of this month. And because in order to even renew it, they would demand to renew it or to change the managing person, they need documentation that doesn't exist for a government body. They want things that are for a corporation. So I will be meeting with former Supervisor Tusher at the bank on the Monday following the maturity of the CD, and we'll have them cut a check to the township, and I'll be moving that to somewhere else. I'm going to move it to Riverside Bank unless you want me to. That would put all of our funds at Riverside Bank. I won't have any documentation problems or anything unless there's another bank within the community that you would prefer that I approach and see if we can do it.
You're talking about Riverside Bank on Burlington?
Yes, Riverside, the Hinsdale, the Wintrust Bank. They have the capacity to provide us with the, what is it, that we need the blanket that I'm losing the term. But we need to have the funds like guaranteed that they're backed, okay. And they have the ability to do that more than the FDIC thing. We then also have that it's collateralized, that they can collateralize the funds for us. They do that through another party, but we get a report regularly that the funds are collateralized, that there's actually money behind it. So if you have any thoughts on that and want to get back to me later, please do. And the new township law books are in your mailboxes. They just came today, so if you picked up your book earlier and didn't go into the office, it's in there. I don't know how many changes are there, but it's the updated version. And that is all I have on my report for now. Are there any trustees' reports?
I had a question. How many people does the bus hold out of the, because you said 35?
I believe it's a 55-passenger bus. We weren't going to sell the back bench so that we could keep coolers and coffee and all that kind of thing there. But other than that, yes, if you know of anyone who might want to go, please tell them time is short. It's only $10 to get a ride there, back, and get into the fair. So let's see what we can do about that. Any other questions? Any other trustees' reports? Mental Health Board, we actually had some material in here.
Yeah, that's just an update from Seguin. They send a quarterly report. The next mental health board meeting will be in September.
I do have some questions about the mental health board.
Sure.
And the relationship it has with the township. With Seguin, I'm concerned about the way we're doing things at the mental health board. I think there's new ways. How much are we paying Seguin for 20 residents? I think what we're doing, the way we're doing it, is we're giving them money and then they're servicing us, where most townships are now moving towards a per hour fee. We negotiate a fee, here's the hourly fee. If we have 500 hours, we pay you X amount of dollars.
Well, Seguin gets a discretionary grant of this past year was $17,000, which more than covers what they handle. We did a community needs assessment survey, which will be coming out in September for the whole township. At that time, we are going to be reviewing how we allocate our funds. That will be probably the next 3 months of our business, will be how it's allocated. It hasn't been changed in many, many years. That's why we did a community needs assessment. There's also a grant coming in, a discretionary grant from North Riverside, and that'll be brought up at the September meeting.
So rough math, $17,000 for 1,800 hours is $1,000 an hour.
Well, you got to keep in mind that that's for 1 month. Okay, that's not $17,000 a month. Seguin,
Right.
takes care of.
So the
throughout
1,800
year.
hours is for a month, not a year.
That's not a year, no. I mean, no, it's not 17,000 a month, it's 17,000.
No, the amount of hours they're providing of service.
That's for 1 month.
All right. Brings it down a little.
Yeah.
But I think there's new ways we could look at allocating those funds, overseeing those funds. Then I'd like to look into those as a board. If it is our fiduciary responsibility at the end of the day, I think it's our responsibility to keep a closer eye on it, so to speak. I do know people in the industry on the other end of it, and they're surprised we're still doing it this way. It's a much easier, simpler, cheaper, affordable way to negotiate your hourly rate and then just pay the invoices
Well, there are other programs that are involved in that. I mean, we provide a counselor at Riverside Brookfield High School. We have discretionary grants for our core agencies and other agencies that have come forward. So there's a lot more into it than we just throw them money. There is a they come in, they give a monthly report every month and tell us. I mean, we service probably close to 100 people a month, as far as what the core agencies and Seguin tell us.
Right. I just think we need to look at it. I don't think the board's done it for a long time. I think it's a lot of money we're talking about, and I think we kind of need to reassess how we're treating these funds from a board's point of view. So maybe have the mental health board come in, answer our questions, see what other townships are doing. I'd like a report on it. I'd like to see what Lyons Township's doing. I know we're kind of trying to do with our grants as well, but I'd just like a lot more information before we're spending this kind of money.
You're more than welcome to come to a mental health board meeting. We have a visitors comment section, so
Probably would be good for all of us to experience at times to see how that discussion goes.
Well, I'd prefer they come in here, I mean, it would be on the record, it would be,
Well, their meetings are open meetings on the record as well. Yeah.
Could you, Trustee Heilenbach, could you tell me more about that, the survey that's going on?
Well, the community, there was a survey that was done for the Riverside Mental Health Board, and what it was questions asking the residents, what type of services do you know? Do you know even what the Riverside Township Mental Health Board is? What services do you need? What is important to you? It gave demographics, age, it's a whole thing. You all get a copy of that survey next month of what the results were. There were 222 people that participated in the survey. We also had what we called core groups, like your police chiefs, your fire chiefs, pastors, clergy, schools. They were all sat down with. There was 26 of them that was sat down with and asked questions of what they feel that the township needs to do or what we could do that would be better and how to spend our funds better.
And you have all the results in there?
It hasn't been done. We're marking it up now. It's on its way. September will be.
Very good.
I'll be looking forward to seeing that.
Absolutely, and it'll all be in your packet, absolutely.
So the date of your next meeting for everybody's,
It'll be the third Wednesday in September.
And when's the last time something like that's been done?
It's been years, more than 20.
Wow. Very good.
And the survey cost the township or the mental health board $75. That's it.
What was it? I took the survey.
Pardon me?
I took the survey.
Right.
Yeah, for the thing, which was a good survey. And I also think the mental health, the services that the township provides in the way of mental health are extremely, extremely important because mental health is so underfunded by every other government organization. And when we were out walking door to door, that's the one thing I emphasized a lot, is how important the mental health stuff we do is.
and that was a lot of people reached out and asked about other services through mental health that
Absolutely.
that they thought.
That's why this survey was done, was because people came out and said, look, we have a problem here. We don't know how to get services.
So how did you determine who gets the survey?
It was put on the newspaper. We had posters up around town.
You didn't mail them out to individuals?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought that they were, okay.
No, it was in the newspaper to take the survey.
Okay, very good.
We had a forum, and we want to do that again. And, once that comes about, once it's finalized, we'll sit down and talk about doing another forum.
Did you have any consultation services for the survey of any kind? or-
Well, the Chicago Psychological School is the one that did the survey. These are
Right.
grad students.
So it was professional?
It was professionally
Conducted.
done,
All right.
and our consultant, Dr. John Shatitsky, was the one that sat these people down. I went down to the school several times and to go over the questions and so on, to make sure before that survey went out.
Any other questions?
Yes, I would like more meat to these reports. At the end of the day, it is our responsibility. I think we need to,
To the mental health
yeah,
reports?
I think if a
Well,
township
understand that this is a
trustee.
non-meeting report, right? I mean,
Yes,
This is
absolutely.
between meetings that,
And they're in summer recess, so you're not gonna get a report in July and August when there's no meetings.
So is the mental health, is the township board telling us that we're not interested in figuring out a better way to allocate those funds?
Nobody has said that. What we're saying is that this is not a meeting of the mental health board. This is a meeting of the Riverside Township Board. If you want to come to the Riverside Mental Health Board, absolutely. It's the third Wednesday. You can ask as many questions. If you want, then I can tell the members of the board that you want to see them and ask them some questions. That's fine. but this is just coming up now. So, you get copies of the minutes and everything else in there. Feel free to call me. I can answer any questions you want.
Well, the question is, how are other townships allocating their funds compared to ours? How long has it been since we've looked at this? And are we doing it the way most people are doing it or not? From what I've heard is that we're not. The industry has moved away from the way we're doing it. It's a much more efficient and affordable way to provide the mental health, which we all agree is important. But this tends to now be block grants coming back. There's no accountability. If we're looking for our community grants, I think we need to upgrade, update, look at how we're allocating funds in the mental health board as well. I mean, it is our fiduciary responsibility, correct? As a township trustee, at the end of the day, those funds, the way they're expended is my
And there is a process in place that will be going forward that we are going to look at that. I can't change something that happened 20 years ago. I can only do what we're moving forward and doing and pushing that board forward. And I don't know what Lyons Township is, 5 times bigger than Riverside Township. We're a small little township.
Find the townships that match our size.
And certainly that's something we can do. I can't
Right.
answer any of your questions right now about how the
Well, I'm
townships
not
do
asking
it.
for them to
I would
answer.
encourage, by the way, this entire board, there is a big township meeting, the annual meeting in Springfield in November, which is why we move our meeting date in November to the 3rd week instead of the 2nd week. And all of these things, there will be training, all the different divisions, including trustees and all of those, you'll have the opportunity to network with others. Certainly we can research how others do that, but I can't say right now that there's a better way to fund it offhand. That's certainly something to put on
The
our
process,
radar.
the research would answer those questions. I think as a board, we need to look at this. I mean,
Well, Tom, why don't you,
I'm not talking about looking at this meeting, obviously.
Right.
You can't answer my
Right.
questions. But let's get the process started.
okay, why don't you come up with some criteria for that process? And really state what you want to be done.
We just did.
Okay,
I
all
wanna look
right,
at how
put it
other,
in writing and come up with a process of what townships are equal to us that, we can research and really come up with a solution to what you're asking.
I'm asking for information. I'm not asking for a solution at this point. I think we need to look at it. It's an issue. It's a lot of money, and we should investigate it. We should look at what's going on. Then we can ask informed questions. We can have the answers, and we can find the solution. I don't think there's a solution right now, but
Okay,
we do need to look at it.
Can you come up with a process for the way you would like us to look at it?
Sure.
Okay, that's something, because right now, we get this is, as I said, a summer packet, but we get a huge amount of information every month from the mental health board.
Mm-hmm. And that's all fine and dandy, and I'm sure there's great information in there. But are we doing it the way others are? Are we not? How are we paying?
Why don't you
do we know?
research
Well, it's all,
and
are
present
we getting
it
our
to
money's
us?
worth? And obviously mental health is important, but are we getting our money's worth? If we're paying 3 times the going rate of this service from Seguin, then I think it's our duty to look into that.
Right, it's our duty to be very fiscal responsible, but you're suggesting something that we should do, but what I'd like you to see is to give us more facts of how you want us to look into that.
Well, I think that the board would do that. I mean, I wouldn't imagine it's just me driving this. I think we would all be interested.
Right,
to
but
figure
since
out
you
if
brought
we-
the subject up, why don't you give us more of a criteria of what you're looking for?
Perhaps we need to provide this board, because most of us are newer, with some information about what the process is that our mental health board goes through. And then I can find out, I can ask other townships how their mental health boards, in many cases, townships provide these services in very different ways. I mean, many townships provide physical, like health departments and other services that we don't do. So I think we need to understand how ours works a little bit better and how we arrive at those block grants, if you want to call them that, before we, you know, throw the baby out with the bathwater, that's the wrong way to do it in a township our size. I can also see where a township with our kind of staffing and our size to be getting monthly invoices from multiple agencies for hourly rates could be a little bit more than we're equipped to handle. As opposed to, and I understand the accountability, but I think that's why our mental health board, in their defense, does get reports regularly from all the agencies that they do fund as to how many people are being served, how they're being served, what kinds of needs they're identifying, is there a growing need, is there a lesser need, that kind of thing. I've seen in their reports, there's quite a bit of information regarding that from each of the agencies. So I think we do need to educate ourselves, all of us, a little bit better about how the process works now. And I can certainly reach out to other townships to see how their process works, and then we can talk in a little more educated manner instead of all theoretical right here now.
And that's what I'm looking for.
Right, okay.
Compare and contrast.
It did sound, it came across like we're doing it all wrong, we need to do it differently. And
No,
we have
I want to
idea
compare and
what's-
contrast. I'm new to this. I
Right.
don't know the history.
Right.
I don't know what's
Right.
going on. I
No.
need information.
And certainly,
And
I mean, this is something
when I
we'll put
make a
on the radar.
decision, when I make a decision, I'd like to have all the information possible. I wouldn't like just, well, that's the way we've been doing for 20 years.
And the mental health board presents its proposals for funding at what point?
At the same time as the township.
As the rest of the
It's a
budget.
separate
Yeah.
taxing body.
Right, right. Okay. Then why don't we move on? Refresh my memory. Where did we leave off? Mental health board reports. Okay. Old business. The room rental policy, I'm still in the process of researching how others do it. I'm finding that, that I really don't have enough data even to call a special meeting that we've talked about. I didn't have a chance yet to run it past the attorney. I have received from Riverside all of their requirements for various licenses and all of that kind of thing, and that in itself is enough to chew on for a while. And so I don't think I'm ready to call a meeting of the committee of the whole. I'm still researching other townships. I'm not finding a lot of townships that have facilities that they rent. However, I know municipalities do as well, so I'm gonna have to expand the search a bit in order to include them as well.
You did not include stuff on the Riverside in our packet, correct?
No, I did
I'm
not
not
yet.
missing anything.
Not yet, no,
Okay,
no.
okay.
You know, I've been thinking long and hard about this room rental policy and how we're gonna change it, and come up with hundreds of questions in my mind of what we need to address. But the number one thing that I thought is, should we get more community input on whether they want to see us rent this out on the weekends? And, you know, have alcohol, and have that, some type of community outreach about that before we start going through all this, you know, other stuff.
Valid point, and I guess maybe you make an excellent point. I guess I would like to see us have maybe a committee of the whole first before some information, because I'd like us all to be more or less on the same page before we, you know, throw more people in, you know what I mean? So I think if we had all the information on what we can and cannot do, and then we all are together because we all know what we can and cannot do, get some ideas going, everything else, and then we do something like that. Then we all are on the, you know, then we're not asking questions at each other, you know, the questions are coming from the audience to us. that, you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're
Yeah.
saying, but we may not all be on the same page.
Well, true, fair enough. But that's
So-
why we need to have the pros and the cons and to have everything there. I'd rather, I'd rather talk amongst ourselves and get everything together and weigh it all out. Maybe it doesn't even have to get to that point, right?
There-
Because if we're not all on the same page, we don't agree, then we could just can the whole idea right then and there. We don't need to open it up and air grievances in the public, you know what I mean?
By the same token, I understand where trustee Clark's coming from, whether we should know whether the spirit of the community is even to do that before we spin our wheels.
Right, that's what I was,
You know?
So that, I mean, I've heard a lot of people comment that they'd like to see the building
Yeah.
used more, whether it's for that kind of event or, that kind of purpose. There are a lot of questions, you're absolutely right. Would you like to schedule a meeting for some more open discussion so we can focus just on that topic at some point? Or are we not ready? I mean, maybe we need that generic meeting first, the general commentary and, pros and cons.
do a general meeting and discuss the pros and cons and then ask for community input. I would be
Possibly.
willing to do that.
I mean, it would be an open
'cause-
meeting in any event.
Yeah, that's true.
Committee of the
Yeah,
whole.
that's what, and I
Yeah.
can send you, I can email you a list of all the different things that I thought of.
Yeah, all of you, on any
Yeah.
things like this, please do send me, if you've got any concerns or ideas on any of these points that we discuss here, send them to me so that I can centralize. I try to keep a file on each of these issues, to, start seeing where the questions, is there overlap? Are all of us coming up with the same concerns and so forth, so. What's your pleasure?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to have a separate meeting on this, and I mean, obviously it is an open meeting, so anybody could attend. I mean, yeah, I mean, in the way of advertising it, more so to make sure that a lot of people are here to voice the concerns. I mean, I think that we could do that at another time after this, take an ad out in the paper or something like that and really advertise it that we really need public comment on this particular issue. I think that could come after this initial kind of brainstorming session. That's what I think. What do you think, Trustee Clark?
So, we're gonna have an initial brainstorming session and then open it to the public. We could,
I think that's a good idea.
What looks good for you folks?
as far as, I mean, if we're gonna open this to the public, I'd like to, maybe to see, let's do it at our October meeting, because we're not,
At our regular meeting or a special?
well, I would think we could do it at our regular meeting. We're not reviewing grants or anything in October.
Well, I think it would get a bit lengthy.
Would you rather do a,
Yeah.
We've been
I
pretty-
agree.
I think we could, if we just focus on one topic, and that way we're all here, and whoever's here is knowing that we're just speaking to one topic, we don't have to go through everything else. That way we come in here, our minds are focused on that,
I think you can do more than one topic, too. I think you can do a couple of topics, but I mean, as far as this, I'm sure that this application for their grants, that may be a big discussion also.
Right, I mean, we got that
So,
too.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, maybe a committee of the whole meeting on those two, or one, depending on what happens with our grant discussion tonight. But I think that's a great idea, and then I think it should be a week before our September meeting. And we get everything done. Who knows, maybe we can't come together on that the room thing or the grant thing, and then we have to, postpone it and
So,
work on it even more, so.
are you looking like at September 5th? I mean, that's
For a committee of the
whole meeting, that's a week before our township meeting.
Right after Labor Day?
That is the day after Labor Day, but I would be,
I'm not criticizing.
that is, yeah, it is, but I mean, I'd be willing to do the 6th or the 7th too, if nobody wants to do it the day after Labor Day.
I'm flexible, so.
Would Wednesday, the 6th be better?
Not for me.
Not for you. Thursday the 7th?
I'm good on the 7th or the 5th.
I'm good on either one of the 5th or the 7th.
I prefer the 5th because it's
Yeah.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
and Tuesdays.
Is that,
How does the 5th look for everybody?
looks fine.
Oh, I'm just getting there. Oh, it's so quick. September's are really tough. I can do it, I believe.
So will we meet at 6 or will we meet at 7?
Let's do it at 6.
That would be better.
Yeah.
It gives us a little more time to,
It's not gonna-
At 6 o'clock?
That doesn't work with you?
oh, hold it.
Oh, you can't
Trustee
do it at
Lupfer.
6?
No, I could do
Is
7.
Okay, would October,
Pardon?
would October be better? Is it better if we gather more?
The 6 is the problem more than
So let's do 7.
today.
Can we do
7
7?
o'clock?
Yeah.
6:30?
Wait,
do seven.
okay, wait.
7's good.
7?
Wait, Vera can't do the 6th, so we were talking about the 5th, but.
No, but he's saying 6 o'clock is bad.
Oh,
6
6
PM,
o'clock is
right.
bad, okay. 6 o'clock is bad any day,
Pretty much.
so.
So
We
7
might do it at the
PM on
7th.
7 o'clock.
7's always open.
7 PM on Tuesday, the
The
5th.
5th, and don't we have to give a 10-day notice on
We
that,
will,
Vera?
yeah, actually, it's only 48 hours, I believe, but that won't be a problem at all. Meeting of the whole, and are we only covering, the township usage policy, or are we also looking to do the, grant that night?
Well, that's our next agenda topic.
Okay, so 7 PM meeting regarding the town hall room rental policy.
Yeah.
Just keep it open just in case, you know, at this grant thing, you know. if
I
the
think we
discussion-
might need separate meetings.
I think you're
I think
right.
so.
I agree with
Just
that.
because
I think we're
I think so
gonna
too,
need,
but there was some-
that we can really dig down, drill down a little bit into that.
Yeah. I mean, because they're huge discussion points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're both very huge.
Okay, then we'll post a meeting for Tuesday, September 5th. Pardon?
Just wondering if you had enough time to publish this. Because it has to be in the paper, you have to notify the community that you're having this special meeting.
We're looking at almost a month away.
And I just don't want those newspapers coming.
Well, we use a landmark, we can get it in, we
Next
can
week.
contact them on Monday, it isn't.
Close to me.
Yeah, it's 10 days. For
I
a
think
committee
that's-
meeting, it's 10 days you have to notify.
Yeah.
So,
That's gotta be posted.
We can publish
I
it
think
tomorrow.
it's 10 days a notice, wait a minute, see, annual and special meeting.
She said, you don't need to cut yourself too short.
I mean, today's only the 8th, we've got 1, 2, 3, it's 4 weeks from now.
And you're gonna do life or landmark.
Landmark, and we can get that in really quick,
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be calendar.
yeah.
Let me see. I'm thinking it's saying 14 days, but I might be reading the wrong thing.
well, what do we do for the last special meeting that we
That's
had?
right.
We already had a special meeting.
Yeah,
So what was it, so what did
But I
we
think it
follow
was
up?
10 days, that's what.
Well, we've got plenty of time. If
Yeah.
it goes in tomorrow, we're all
Yeah,
set.
and if it's committee of the whole, we're not going to be making huge decisions. So it's not like a special meeting called for the purpose of
Right.
spending money.
Yes.
Where this is a discussion point, this is a committee of the whole meeting, just for discussing
very good
something.
point.
So I don't think that it's a huge problem. Like I said, we can put out a notice tomorrow.
No,
Right.
let me ask you this, are you going to assign us all maybe homework that we need to look into each individual thing? Or are we gonna just come there and start talking about ideas, or, I mean, is it too soon? Are you gonna mull on this one for a little bit?
Are you volunteering
I
to
don't know,
research?
if you wanna give us some work to do, we could all research some part of the big pie, or,
What I will do is I'll gather all the information I have already, like policies from other places, as well as that Riverside Village all of their permits and all of that. Make sure that you have a packet of information about that in your mail slots within the next few days, what I've already gathered, and I'll let you know if I put any more information in there. If any of you are willing to do some research, if you see someone who's got a good policy, please let me know so that I can include information about that. But I mean, are you volunteering to?
No, I just didn't know if.
Mike likes homework, he wants.
Oh, I wasn't that. I was just wondering if you had any kind of, projects to give us to be prepared. That's all. But it sounds like.
I don't at this point.
Okay. Well, if it changes, let us know.
I will if I. Okay. So we'll publish that as soon as possible. And then we have, anything more on the town hall rental policy and regulations? Then regarding the review of township grant application processes, again, I've gotten some input from some of you. Some of you have stopped in to say something and said you were gonna send me something. If you can put something in writing, drop it off, email it to me, whatever. If you've got some suggestions, if you see some issues with how we're doing things now, please do get me that information.
And then we're gonna add that on to our September 5th meeting, am I correct?
Or maybe we should do two different ones.
I don't think we need to do two different ones. I think, if we're covering two subjects, I think we should be all right. I mean, you gotta try it once.
Yeah.
So we'll add the township grant application process to the September 5th meeting topic. So it'll be
Good.
published as those are the two topics we plan to discuss.
Beauty.
Okay. Back to new business. As I indicated in my report, we don't have the paycheck services payment practice review yet. I mean, we're working on a resolution based on what we've discussed in the past that we wouldn't have to use a third party to pay for those services, and we could authorize that payment with each payroll. Actually, it's monthly on those services. Anyway, you have in your packets information about the Autumn Fest and Chili Cook-Off at North Riverside. The township has participated for the last several years. What is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we participate in the chili cook-off.
I second it.
Motion that we participate in the chili cook-off. Do I have any volunteers to actually cook chili?
Leanne usually cooks the chili.
Leanne's in charge of chili. I'll help you, Leanne.
No, you
Are
have
we
your
volunteering?
secret recipe.
I got a secret recipe, but it didn't go over so good, so, you're right.
Uh-oh.
No,
I heard it was great.
I can make the chili if you prefer.
Whatever you prefer, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
We'll discuss it. Let's
Well, maybe
participate.
that-
Motion to participate.
And someone will bring the chili.
Yes.
Is there a fee to that booth? Is
I
there a
don't
cost?
believe there is, because it's only offered to community organizations as
Gotcha.
defined specifically. So I don't think there is. I don't see anything here about that. So it's just the form and it doesn't, let's see.
It says,
This is a
there
reminder,
something-
we've already,
Ticket.
we
No,
do
that's for-
sponsor the games, some of the
Yeah,
games there,
no
face
problem.
painting,
Right,
and the
yeah,
blow up
exactly.
things.
We already did that.
We already did that, yeah, I'm just reminding you.
That was one of the grants,
Yeah,
yes.
that was one of our
So we
main
already
grants,
spent
I
our
think.
money
Oh.
there.
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see anything for entering the chili cook-off, so. So there's no expenditure on that, so I'll just go with a voice vote rather than,
The expenditure is the cost of making the chili there.
that's true, okay.
Okay,
Right, so we
so-
will reimburse.
So whoever makes the chili gets reimbursed.
Right, so the motion is to participate and to reimburse the cook for the cost of the chili. Any other discussion? If not, then I will ask for a roll call vote.
wait, do we need a
I
second
would,
on that
I would
motion?
suggest we,
Yeah, I thought we did, didn't we?
Do we first, second?
Tim gave the second, Mike
Okay.
gave,
Oh, okay, all right, sorry.
I'm
I
sorry.
suggest we
Trustee
split those two.
Drapka.
We participate and then the reimbursement. Because I'd love to participate. I think that's a great idea.
I will
But you
amend
don't
my
wanna reimburse
motion
whoever's
that,
cooking?
I'd
that we
like
re-
to have a motion that we approve the participation first and then
Okay.
that we participate.
All right, so we're splitting that vote, so let's
First
just,
roll call vote is
right.
for participation, correct?
yes.
Trustee Clark,
Yes.
trustee Drapka,
yes.
trustee Hollenbach,
Yes.
trustee Lufer,
Yes.
supervisor Wilt.
Yes.
Motion carried to participate.
Okay, and now we have the reimbursement of whoever is making the chili.
Also, if you want to put decorations on the booth.
Okay, so the cost of decorating the area where we serve ours, any cost of producing the chili, and I don't know what else there might be, what other costs
That's
there.
it.
They provide all the tasting materials and such. So do I have a motion for that separately?
Make a motion to reimburse.
Do we put in a monetary limit on that?
I think it,
It's not over $150, I'll tell you
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe up to, this is for the chili and the decorations,
Yeah.
right? So make a motion that we allow expenditures not to exceed $175
Okay, I have a motion
for
to
the Chili Fest.
reimburse for the materials and decorations not to exceed $175 for the North Riverside Autumn Fest and Chili Cook-Off. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Then call for the vote, please.
Trustee Drapka,
Yes.
trustee Lufer,
No.
trustee Hollenbach,
Yes.
supervisor Wilt.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I don't think you called me my name.
Clark, I'm sorry.
You just made the motion.
Thank you. Trustee Clark, I apologize.
It's okay, yes.
Thank you.
All right, that motion is carried.
Thank you, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, application for membership to the West Central Municipal Conference. This is something that it's mostly municipalities that are involved in, but as you can see from their letter, they do have several, I think they said 5 townships involved. Some are at the associate member level that they're recommending, and there's 1 or 2 that I saw within the regular membership. Lyons Township and Leiden Township are regular members, and then we have the Proviso Township, Stickney Township.
Have we been involved in this before?
We
Because I
have.
don't remember.
I don't believe so. Pat, do you remember everybody being part of the WCMC? No. Mike and I have both attended their meetings for various reasons, and we were approached by this Richard Pellegrino, who's the executive director. Oh, you know, I hear you with the township now, you should join us. I'm just bringing it here. I don't really feel strongly one way or the other about us joining them. It's a good group. It's good to keep tabs on. They do facilitate the partnership and cooperation on a number of things that the municipalities work on together. You know, it might be good in terms of understanding what the municipalities that we serve go through, but again, we can communicate with them directly on that as well, so.
I did notice that, member communities, that all of our township partners are involved in this.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And, including the zoo, water commissions.
Triton College, yeah. and all that.
I had a question. What is the difference between an associate membership and a regular membership besides the voting? Because the letter says the associate membership And that would be good for us, right? But, I mean, what's the difference in cost, when it comes to the, regular membership? Because I see that, like, there's a couple townships that are regular members.
Right,
But then
Lion,
a
Lions.
couple of townships are associate members, so I'm just curious as to know why the executive director thought that an associate membership would be good for us and
I
what's the
think
difference?
probably because there's a greater cost to being full member, and he knows that we're a small township, that it might be arguably not terribly beneficial to have.
Their services seem a little bit repetitious to me of organizations that we already belong
Right.
to.
Right, there's,
You know,
yes, yes.
ooh.
Well, and again, I mean, it's, the executive director knows me from my involvement through the village government, and,
Yeah, I mean, I guess I understand your concerns, Trustee Clark, but, I know, yeah, just because everybody else is doing it, that doesn't mean you jump off the diving board too, right? But, I mean, if our surrounding villages and townships and Brookfield Zoo, as you mentioned, Supervisor, well, everybody seems to be a part of it. It looks like it's a lobbying kind of thing down in Springfield to look out for us and the western suburbs. So, why should we reap the benefits when we're...
Are there meetings that someone should attend?
they do, usually they're dinner meetings. I know of at least 2 events per year. They usually have one at Rosemont, and they tend to have one in Hillside, I think, as well.
So what benefit would the township residents receive?
The residents
What's-
directly only through whatever we learn and how we can cooperate with the other organizations.
So there's no measurables, there's no, we get this for that kind of thing?
No, I wouldn't say that there's any kind of a direct benefit to the citizenship, no.
And all of our constituent towns are members
Yes,
currently?
yes.
So I would not think it would be something that we would need to do. I mean, if all our towns are doing it, and there's no measurable, there's no deliverable, there's nothing we can point to that our constituents are gonna get, I'd suggest it would not be an expenditure that we would be interested in pursuing.
Any other comments? Well, I'll entertain a motion, one way or the other.
I move that we reject we do not join the Western, I don't have my glasses, sorry. That we do not join the West Central Municipal Conference.
A motion to not to join the WCMC. Do I hear a second? That fails for lack of a second. Do I hear a motion to join, or do you just want to table the whole question
I
at
think
this
we
point?
need to, once again, I think we need more information
Okay.
about this, and maybe
I can ask for
more benefits of how
Right.
this is
Yeah.
gonna benefit
agree,
us. And if
100%.
there's, meetings where we need to send a representative, or is it like the talk stuff where we all go?
Yeah, I agree, because this brochure was really
It's weak.
something that's like in a vestibule or
Right,
something, you know?
I know, it's very weak. I was disappointed that they didn't provide us with more
Yeah.
information, so I will certainly reach out and ask for more
Can
information.
you tell us more about Richard Pellegrini?
He has been in and around, I want to say that he used to be with Melrose Park?
And
I think so, Melrose Park, I believe,
Okay.
in government there. He may still be, but this is, he's the executive director. They do a lot of lobbying and that kind of thing, I know. They represent all these municipalities, and they
Go down to Springfield.
corral everybody, yeah, for for when there's concern about some legislation and how it'll affect all these suburban communities and so forth.
Including
But
residents.
in terms of him per se, I don't have that, but I'll get it for you.
Yeah, a little more information on that,
Sure.
Supervisor Will, would be great.
Well, I was gonna say, it looks like most of these things are in Cook County, but it also, I'm just noticing some are in DuPage too.
Yeah,
The
it's,
associate members more so.
right, because it's really, you know, the West Central Municipal Conference is pretty much what it says, you know, the,
Yeah. You're gonna go county on those.
Well, most of it's Cook, except, you know, then I'm looking at Bloomingdale, Villa Park, Oak Brook.
and even Bloomingdale may be actually Cook.
It could
No,
be.
it's in DuPage.
Okay,
That's what,
because some of that stuff reaches out pretty far.
yeah, that's what,
Yes.
so I only see DuPage as, Villa Park, Bloomingdale, and Elmhurst, Oak Brook Terrace.
Right.
Looks like everything else is in Cook County.
Okay, I will get more information. There's certainly no hurry for us to join, so. Okay, and, there was something else I was going to do.
Oh, did we take a motion to table that for further information? I move to table that so that we can
I have a motion to table for,
get more information.
to gather further information.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried. Okay. Let's see. We already touched on the Springfield trip. If you need more flyers, there's some in the hallway, or we can make you more copies. And since we were mentioned in the landmark, I wasn't sure you all caught that, so that for your information, that was put in there.
Since you put the landmark article in there, we can discuss this a little bit, right?
Well, we can.
Do we have any more information about that? Because it just, the way the article is written, it seems like everybody's on board except for us. And I know that we
Well,
talked
yes,
about it at last meeting, and it's just like, I mean, has there any conversation about it with the village or the county? Have you been in the talks?
I
or
have
you heard
been,
something?
the president of this group, this, Dixon, is he mentioned in this article? Yeah, he has reached out to me, and we had a lengthy conversation on the phone about it, and I expressed our concerns, but they are going to go forward, and they wanted to make sure that it wasn't completely off the table, and I said, well, these are our concerns, and as you can see, the police chief is pretty concerned about the crossing across Ogden Avenue and such as well. I mean, we always have to be concerned about the liability issue, and he seemed to poo-poo the two-way thing. I'd like to see what reaction they get from the county, because I think the county is going to be a big part of this as well.
Well, they're gonna own all that land.
Well,
Yeah,
exactly,
over there.
and, you know, I'm concerned about what the maintenance is going to be of the continuation of the trail. The county is gonna have to be on board to really, you know, step up and say they're going to maintain that trail if it's gonna become part of the connector. I'm certainly open to discussion, but I am very concerned about our liabilities as
Because
we've said before.
you reported at last meeting that the Toimra guy came out here.
Right, the
and-
Toimra guy.
Yeah, he
our
looked at
insurance.
it. He said that it's
Yes.
it doesn't work.
Well, he said that he would be very surprised now, actually,
That the county.
if the county approved such a thing, because it's not a two-way thing. Now, yes, there are other areas where bridge crossings only have a singular path, but then there has to be some kind of a signal system or something to prevent, or, you know, signage for people to walk across, and we've already discussed how much, you know, whether that will or won't work. I think that we need to stay in the discussions with others, because they seem to want to talk about us and feel confident that we can be persuaded. And so I don't want to be excluded from those discussions, but I don't know what kind of assurances we have that everything else is going to fall into place to make this
I think it's in the
reality.
beginning stages, to be honest.
I
I mean,
do
they
too.
still have to go through the county, the Forest Preserve District.
Right.
That, I think it's going to be in a, you know, I think this is gonna go on for a little while. And I think Supervisor Wilt is right by saying, we'll stay in on the conversation, but, I mean, putting up signs is, you know, that's great, put up signs until somebody falls into the river.
Right, do we know our liability?
And there's our liability, that's exactly right.
Yeah, at last meeting, Supervisor Wilt said that, you know, the Toimra guy was out there, and he said that there's even the bike handles, they come even with the bridge there.
Yeah. As you look at this picture,
Yeah.
all of those little vertical bars above the mesh, those are pretty much at handlebar height, so you know, it could be, it could flip somebody over. And you know, I've of course gotten commentary that, oh, people walk by and bicycle all the time. Okay, fine.
Conceptually speaking, I support it wholeheartedly, but
Right.
the liability issue has to be answered. I mean, it's all about liability at the end of the day. If someone does fall off and hurt themselves, are we putting our constituents at risk?
Right. I'm curious to see what Commissioner Tobolsky has to say about it too. This is really his territory, and you know, he's been very supportive of some other transportation, you know, like the bike path over by First Avenue. Yes.
May I?
Sure.
Okay. That bridge was intended for a footpath to connect those people who lived in Riverside Lawn to be able to get to the train station. That's what all started. And it's been maintained that way. So it's not safe for any other kind of travel. And Torma was very specific about rejecting that kind of request. But people will come by, and they want to ride motorcycles over it, or tractors, but now that 20 plots are gone in North Riverside Lawn, you don't have the same needs anymore. So I don't even know if that bridge is even that beneficial.
Well, you know, just for the beautification of the community, I don't know that we're going to let it fall into disrepair or anything.
If we looked into what it would cost to retrofit the bridge to cover our liability?
To make it twice as wide?
Well, I mean, if that's what if they're asking us to put a bike path across the bridge and it's a walking path, I don't think we can, it's a square peg in a round hole kind of thing.
Right.
The one argument I've heard is that the only other option would be to go under the railroad bridge, which would be too much money. It's too much money to retrofit the bridge. You know, if it's more money to retrofit the bridge than it is to go under the viaduct, it might put the arguments more into focus, I think.
Perspective, right.
But like I said.
You're talking about the railroad bridge across the Des Plaines River?
No, over First Avenue. Because that would be the natural one. I mean, it goes right there, but the sidewalks are just as narrow as the bridge.
There's a footpath on a lot of it, too.
Right.
Just a pathway. But again, this is in the beginning stages, and I think it's important that we remember that it's in the beginning stages.
Yeah.
If we have to investigate as time goes on, well, let's see what the county has to say and Commissioner Tobolsky, and then we can move forward to stay current with it, and you know, we can look at everything's on the table, as we've said before, everything's on the table. So.
I mean, Mr. Dixon also indicated that they're now talking about it going, oh my goodness, across the tracks and then down Quincy, and then use the alley that's behind the bank here, and which would go directly to the footbridge, and I don't even see, that seems like an awkward access. And
The reason
I know
that-
that President Sells was very concerned about the traffic patterns within downtown Riverside, because that's already.
The reason the supporters of it are looking at the bridge is because it is the least expensive route. It would be the easiest one to get done. But if we're not gonna be able to have that bridge be a bike path as it is, I think is our lawyer, did our insurance company?
It's our insurance company. Our insurance company came out, looked at it, and as we were approaching it from a distance, he said, well, I can tell you the problem right away.
Right.
It's not wide enough.
So when the discussions are happening, that aspect should be included, saying,
Absolutely.
if you want to go through, I think we're all in support of the concept and the idea, and if you want that to be the path, the bridge would have to be retrofitted. So that then informs their decision and their direction much more, focuses their direction a lot more, because now it's not a free path, it costs a lot of money to do.
And we can pull out the costs of renovating the bridge 15 years ago, so we can take a look at what that was, just for an example.
That was just a remodel too.
That was to
Right.
put a new deck on it.
A
It was to
repaint, right?
Repaint, I think the meshes on the side,
Those cables.
on the cables, yeah, all of that. That was a major restoration of the bridge at that point, and, yes,
Oh, sure.
So I mean, that is what they're asking us, so
right,
it'd be nice to have ballparks on that.
right. Okay, any other matters that should come before us before we go to the warrants?
I do have one issue question. I'm not sure if this is the right time, but I would like almost a tutorial through the budget. I would like to see, I mean, the way our numbers are laid out is not any way I've ever seen accounting done. I'm a small businessman, so I do quick and easy kind of stuff. So can we have a committee of the whole or some discussion? I know we're loading up our schedules, but what would be the best avenue or the best way to
I
go
believe
about
that
that?
one of the topics in Springfield in November is understanding the budget process.
Oh, nice.
I would strongly, again, recommend that we do that, because we can learn from experts who have been doing it, who teach others to do it.
Right.
How the budgeting process in government works differently from a business, because, you know, it's not like you can kick in and have a new promotion to bring in extra funds. It's the taxes is about all you've got, so.
Right.
I think that that's a very valid topic that we need to address and to get a tutorial on.
Right.
I will keep you informed on any, sometimes they have like lunch and learn kinds of things that are webinars as well.
And I'm
Take a look at
I'm
Norman,
pretty
at Toy Magazine.
used to working with numbers. I mean, maybe we could sit down with our accountant and have him take me through it. I don't think it needs to be a day-long seminar on
No,
budgeting
I
process.
understand. I mean, we do need to understand, and that it's a process I'm going to have to go through, because I don't frankly think, from just what I've seen in the last few years, that there was a huge discussion involved in the budget process. It seemed like, we'll take last year's, what do we think the taxes are gonna look like? How much do we wanna spend? But I don't think that there was so much a line-by-line analysis of, what do we hope to do? Where are the funds to do it? And, you know, do we wanna reallocate in other areas? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't feel like it was a terribly analytical process for a little while,
Well, we do, at the budget meeting, go line by line.
line by line,
I
right?
think if we wanted to do, you know, a local budget workshop, Ann Kabinski is a master at township budgets. And maybe we could get her in some night, you know, to show us what she did. I mean, she was always down here comparing, you know, there's a file in there that shows the bills that we're paying. And so, I mean, she was religious about coming down here and going over those. And I mean, if there was a 10-cent difference, she found it. So I think it would be nice, you know, if we approached her and see if she could, you know, some night come down and give us an,
Well, I don't think it even has to be at the meeting level. It's more my own questions and concerns and lack of historical background.
and once
she
again, I
be
would call and
perfect.
set up a session with Ann.
Yeah,
Because, as I said, there's nobody better at township finance than she is.
right. So if I could get her contact information, that'd be great. And would that be an expenditure?
I doubt it. I'm sure that she'd be happy to
Oh, okay,
share her knowledge.
good.
All right, somebody interested in making the motions for the approvals? Once again, I tried to create, I've got the crib sheet if you want, so that you see which ones
I did last time.
you do or
You
don't.
did it the
have.
first time. Mary
Okay.
Rob.
Trustee Clark, it's your turn.
Do you have them? Okay. I move the board authorize and ratifies payment of the bills identified on the general warrant, August 2017, in the amount of $14,650.70 as presented to the board this 8th day of August 2017. I need a second, or?
I'll second.
I have a motion and second to authorize the, that's okay, authorize and ratify the payment of the bills identified on the general warrant in the amount of $14,650.70. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I had a question. The mileage reimbursement on the general warrant, what was that for? 1620? Travel expense?
Where are you
1,
looking?
2, 3, 4,
Jacobozzi.
5, yeah. From the
Jacobozzi.
bottom of the page.
Jacobowski, that's Lawrence, that's one of our custodians,
Yeah.
and that's, you mean the $5 and
Well,
He
yeah,
gets
but I don't understand
89
what the
cents?
travel.
When he runs
expense is.
errands for the
Like when he
township.
Gotcha.
does- yeah.
He
Okay.
runs to the bank, he runs to get hardware
Understood.
items and such. Yeah.
I was just confused as to why he was
Yeah, no.
funding for a travel
Yeah,
expense.
no, he's just one of the custodians.
Very good, okay.
And please understand, as Mary Rob indicated, check that file, go through all of the bills, are there attached to the stubs for the payment of these invoices. So, please review those because you're saying that you approve them each month. So I have a motion and a second.
I'll second it.
No, I already got the second. All in favor?
Well, I have a question. I have
Yeah,
another
oh, you have
question.
another question? Yes.
It appears that we're paying $5,000 a year to televise these meetings.
Yes, we are.
Is that an expense that is necessary? And what is the time to bring up that discussion?
Well, we have budgeted, it has been budgeted for this year. If you question the value of it, I mean, it's a good way to reach out to the community when the community doesn't necessarily always come to us. So the official proceedings are always available.
Can we see how many people view those meetings and see if there's 14 of them or if there's 400, that would help us inform our decision? It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, yeah, so they probably know how many hits there are, so.
Yeah, could we, I'm sure they gotta be tracking like.
Right.
Well, it's also on Channel 6, right?
I
Right,
believe
so,
though
but they have to
that
know,
they
I mean,
enter
they have to
into
have a
contract
ballpark
for a
figure
year.
of how many people turn
Right,
into the
yeah.
program at this particular time of day.
We are under a contract for it.
Right,
currently,
mhm.
so.
Yeah, we have.
So
an
I can
intern.
investigate when that contract runs.
And then maybe have them give us a report on, the Nielsen's rating kind of thing.
Yeah.
How many people watch each meeting, kind of, again, deliverables.
Yeah, I don't know if they have any way of measuring how many views there are on Channel 6, but that's only available in Riverside per se, that's not available to the rest of the communities.
But the YouTube is.
YouTube.
Yes,
sorry.
exactly.
But that would be easy to see. You can see plainly how
Right there.
many views this got or
And,
that got.
right, and I always get the email when it's ready, and it hasn't occurred to me I should pass that on to all of you. I presume that you're not getting that email now that I think about it, so whenever it's ready on YouTube, I get the link to it, so I'll forward that to you as well.
Because I'm all for open government, of course, but fiscal responsibility has a place as well.
Okay. So right now, we have the approval of the general warrants. Any more discussion, any more questions? Then Clerk Plow, would you please call for the vote?
Trustee Hollenbach,
Yes.
trustee Lutfer,
Yes.
trustee Drapka,
Yes.
trustee Clark,
Yes.
supervisor Wilt,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay. And on to the other warrants.
Okay, I make a motion that the board ratify and authorize payment of the amounts indicated on the following warrants. Utility warrant, $875.23. Payroll warrant, $17,259.26. Health warrant, in the amount of $1,551.96. Grants, and, do we do the grants? Was that from the last time?
Those are the trailing ones that they're actually getting paid at this point.
Okay, all right. Grants, amount of $247.85. General assistance warrants in the amount of $900. And the food pantry warrant in the amount of $492.50.
You've heard the motion on the warrants. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. We'll call for the vote on the warrants as listed in the motion.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
On the grants, what's that void for the Riverside Police Department flat screen?
So, police department was given the check made out to Best Buy. They went over to buy the items. Best Buy processed the check, and what's the name of the checks? What is, there's a
Oh, it's a check.
telecheck.
Telecheck. Declined.
Blocked it. They said that the funds, that the account was too new, and they gave me a code, a rejection code, so a denial code, so I had to call them with all kinds of information, and they still wouldn't release the denial because apparently Best Buy had not gotten a check from us, and it was a new check to them. I said, look at the check number, are you kidding me? Argued left and right, and there was no way. They told me that in 30 days we could issue, in 14 days we could issue another check, but there was no guarantee that it would go through at that point. At which time we whipped out the credit card and said, here, will you take this? It was just absolutely the most bizarre thing I'd ever heard. So that's what that's the
Sorry,
explanation
I
of the
just
void.
noticed that.
Yeah, I know, that was the explanation of the void.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was, yeah, very interesting that day. Anyway, so we have a motion and a second on the warrants. Would you please call the roll?
Trustee Clark,
Yes.
trustee Drapka,
Yes.
trustee Lutfer,
Yeah.
trustee Hollenbach,
Yes.
supervisor Wilt.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, that's not bad.
Then with that, if there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.
A little rough.